prove to Jim McGreevy that I was not playing hooky and that I was actually doing something. So there we go. But yes, so I'll be competing in the World Championships, which informs this prize. This prize is a rare artifact. Well, that's the official line. The unofficial line is it actually only costs about $30. So if there's a judicial ethics problem, that usually should solve it. It's of not super high value. But so if you want to, so this is a cap, an official Team USA cap for the World Championships this year. The reason that I say it's a priceless artifact is because you have to be on Team USA to buy one. If you try and you aren't, you get this. And I think that if you come upon one of our items by unlawful means, they'll come to your house and wreck up the place, right? So now I have a lot to do in 30 or 40 minutes, so I'm gonna try to do it as best I can. I might go kind of fast. If I do, try to keep up. So next, I'm also a TEDx speaker. Last year, I was very fortunate enough to be able to do TEDx Jersey City, and the title of my talk was Believe in Second Chances. That's that right there. So if you want to look at it, how many of you have seen it? I know like maybe, awesome. All right, I get to do the version of the speech where no one has seen the TEDx. That's excellent. So I do want to share with you something that the TEDx folks didn't get, and that is something that happened to me the morning of the TEDx, actually while I was there, because I think it'll give you a pretty good, it's a really good lens through which to see who I am. So when we did the TEDx, the day before there was a rehearsal, they said, all right, you guys pick a walk-up song. I was like, okay. I picked Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Anyone know the song? It's a really good song. It's about death. That's not why I picked it. I think I like the piano. Also, my stepdaughter actually dated Mikey Way for a while. Like he's the bassist, and this is her platinum record or gold record. It's in my home office. She said she doesn't want it, and I said, good. I like it. So, but here's the thing about that song, and I probably shouldn't have done this next thing, but the morning of, I'm there, and I don't go on until right before lunch. They put me there because I'm loud. I have bright colors. I keep people's attention, even if I'm ridiculous, ludicrous, or boring. So, but I managed to hold people's attention, so I had some time to wait. So I said, all right, you know what? Let me just walk around, start listening to this song. I'd never really listened to the lyrics before. Like to me, it was just, or whatever. So the lyrics destroyed me, and I started crying uncontrollably. And I do it. It's really weird. Like, so if you're uncomfortable seeing a grown man cry, you should leave. But it's very weird. And so I'll walk you through it. And I think by the time we get to the very end of the presentation, what follows will make a little bit more sense. So this I show you because when I went up to speak, I didn't even hear the song, right? And I think that that comes from just being so caught up in the moment or so preoccupied that you just don't really hear anything else. You're just kind of in the zone. And it happened to me at Ironman. The one cool thing about doing an Ironman, other than the fact that you literally just did an Ironman, it's 140.6 miles, is that when you cross the finish line, the announcer says, your name, Damon Watson, you are an Ironman. I didn't hear it. Like, not at all. I mean, certainly not over the sound of my own crying, right? I mean, we've already established, Damon's a crybaby. I was bawling at the end of Ironman. So let's figure out what happened with Black Parade, right? So when I was, all right, we're not gonna do that because I don't have the range and Simon Cowell's out there probably trying to. So when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. Okay, that really shouldn't jerk any tears. But this next one, he said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken? See what, it's unbelievable, unreal. I really should be an actor because like I could do this like that. I mean, you could see it, but a savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned. And that started me going. And then the next one, he said, will you defeat them, your demons? God, this is so hard. And all the non-believers, the plans that they have made. And I just was like, and my wife's looking at me and she's like, no, I'm okay. Okay. I do this a lot. Like, I know, thank you. So she's looking at me, she's like, what's the matter with you? I'm like, oh, nothing's the matter with me. So I just ran out of the building, right? I just left. Everyone's like, what the hell is wrong with it? So I just started doing laps. We're in the building and I'm reciting the speech over and over in my head until I think I cried it out, right? I mean, I had colic. It was TEDx colic or something. And then a buddy of mine walks up. He had just come down from Maine. He got off the train and he had his luggage and he's a really goofy guy. He's like, hey, D-man, what's up? And I looked at him, I started laughing and I came out of it. But I went in, did the speech, I think I nailed it. You can watch it later and tell me what you think. But it was really, really very weird. And so I never really understood why the lyrics destroyed me until I took them and overlaid them against what I do and my life in general. So let's talk about what I do. So I'm the Senior Director of Legal Services and Corporate Development for New Jersey Reentry Corporation. How many of you, I hope it's everyone, have heard of New Jersey Reentry Corporation? All right, good. It's interesting how we have great PR sometimes and bad PR sometimes. I've literally gone and done expungement clinics for folks in different counties. Like I go to the One Stop in Essex County, and this is all people that have been incarcerated, all people that are trying to get expungements. And I say, who's in a reentry program? And nobody raises their hand. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. So I said, who's heard of New Jersey Reentry? Nobody. And it's interesting, but I'm glad that you all know who we are. For those of you who don't know exactly what we do, our mission is simple. We were founded a little over 10 years ago. We're a nonprofit. Our stated mission is to remove employment barriers for folks returning home from incarceration, from addiction, or from combat. That's our basic mission. So everything we do, including all of the harassment that my team does to the U administrators, is in aid of that mission. Now, since we were founded, New Jersey Reentry Corporation has changed and touched the lives of literally over 40,000 people. That's a lot. So I just want to tell you about one of them. So our subject was born to mother, father. The mother was a paralegal and a school teacher, but she was also a very high-functioning alcoholic. Now, the father was one of the first African-American men in the country to have both a JD and an MD, one of the first, right? I think he got it sometime in the 70s or his final degree, so that tells you something. But he was also physically abusive and a drug addict, so there was a lot of trauma. So our subject makes it through the trauma, gets out of the house ultimately, gets to college, gets to grad school, starts a really great career, gets married, and then they have a kid, another kid, and then a bunch of things happen and the world explodes. So in a period of like 5 or 6 years, he loses 6 family members: mother, father, 2 grandmothers, a grandfather, and an aunt. And that was over a short period of time. That's really hard to take. So all of that turns into depression, addiction, divorce, loss of custody, homelessness, and then when you're on the streets and you're addicted, you start to commit crimes. So incarcerated once for 9 months. He was doing fraud crimes, right? Like check fraud. I think in municipal court, you probably see those at the early stages and then they end up at Superior Court. But a lot of check fraud to pay for drugs, pay for motel rooms, and then he gets out, right? So he's in jail for 9 months, he gets out. But what happens when people get out with that newly minted criminal record, right? They try to get a job. They might get job offers. Now remember, our guy had a graduate school degree, so he got job offers. But when the criminal record comes back, all bets are off, right? That criminal record will kill every single job offer it possibly can. It's very good at assassinating those things, right? So he recidivated, goes back to jail for 11 months. But when he got out of jail the second time, something magic happened. He had heard of Jim McGreevy's program, New Jersey Reentry Corporation, hooks up with them, gets a job, gets a better job, joins a cycling club, gets married, and then about 8.5 years now, crime-free, sober, no drugs, never picked up again, right? So, pretty good story. I mean, we have a lot of those at Reentry. The one crazy thing about this one is the main character is me. That's my story. This is why, I get to do the version of the TED Talk where nobody, because there was like this M. Night Shyamalan moment. Oh my God, it was Damon. He was a drug addict. He did all the crimes. Right? So, I mean, So some of you might now have some questions, I imagine, like one of which is, did he say his daddy was black or something like that? Did I get that right? Yes. So when you take a Creole mother and a light-skinned African-American father and you mix them together, you get something that looks like me, right? So the next question you might have is, how, right? How did that happen? I mean, for those of you who don't know, I went to Princeton. So New Jersey actually was a palatable place to live for me because I experienced 4 years of it in one of the most beautiful places on earth, right? And now I'm back here. That was 1993 though. But yeah, I went to Princeton. I went to Harvard Law School. I lived with Ted Cruz for a year and a half. That's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but I'm happy to talk about it with anybody that wants. We were friends in college, and it was convenient and whatever. But here's how it goes, right? First, I had childhood trauma. And most people that walk into my program, they had some kind of childhood trauma, right? I mean, with me, one of my earliest childhood memories is of my dad almost killing my mom. I mean, I heard screaming, and I ran out of my bedroom, and I go into the den, and they had been separated, so I'm like, well, there shouldn't be anyone else in the house. And he's standing over her with a rocking horse, my rocking horse, 80 pounds of solid wood, and he was gonna drop it on her. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. So I run in front of him, and I'm like, no, Dad, please don't. And I hope that was what pushed him over the edge to not do it, but he put the rocking horse down and he left. I mean, I didn't have the tools at the time to diagnose what was going on with my dad, but now that I know what I know, he was high on coke, right? And I'm pretty sure that my dad did freebase, and I think he was bipolar, right? So clearly, lots of trauma. Next, the trauma leads to that, inevitably, right? Trauma doesn't give a crap how smart you are. It doesn't care where you went to school. It doesn't care what race you are. It will do that to you. And so with me, yeah, I was depressed, right? And I spent most of my life as a teetotaler. Like, if you ask any of my friends from my childhood, I was a designated driver, right? I didn't drink in college, didn't drink in law school. I got pretty loaded the night I graduated from law school. Was kind of peer pressured into that one. But yeah, I mean, that's who I was. But I have addicts in my genes. I have addict parents. And I had all this trauma and depression. And so I started to use, right? Started with ecstasy, then I went to coke, and then crack, and then meth, and ultimately it all fell apart. I was very high functioning for a while, but that doesn't last. So when you get to the end of that, you become homeless and incarcerated. That's what happens, right? And homelessness doesn't happen all at once, right? So I was homeless in California. I've lived on Skid Row. I've been in Tent City, right? I've been there. So you see it on TV, you see the YouTube videos about it, but I really don't think that you actually have a good flavor for it. I did. And it was pretty awful. But when you're in that situation, homelessness also means you're living in motels. It just means you're transient, right? You don't have a place to live. You get kicked out of one place after another. You're not actually present enough to be able to look for the transitional housing. And you end up on Skid Row. Because actually on Skid Row, there's a lot of resources. But in order for me to stay in motels, and for me to fuel my drug habit, and for me to eat in that order, right? Shelter, drugs, food, it's just kind of how you're thinking. I committed fraud, right? How did I get into that? A girl. I mean, I hate to blame it on a girl. I mean, for women that get into it, sometimes it's a guy. I mean, it goes, or a woman. I mean, whatever. It's a partner that does it and makes it okay. So I did that. And ultimately, I went to jail, LA County Jail. Now, I know a little about the county jails here. How many of you think that you have any understanding of what it is like in LA County Jail? It is horrifying, horrifying. Now, somehow this square, white-looking, like New York accountant who's actually like a light-skinned black kid from Los Angeles, but who speaks like this, right? Somehow I survived. I think I actually survived because I was a curiosity, right? Like I just was. They didn't really know what to make of me, so they just kind of accepted me, and every now and then I was able to give them good advice or help them write a letter to their girlfriend or help them read, right? Just a lot of guys in there can't even read. But I got out, and I tried to get jobs. I got one at a call center, got one at Target, got one at Home Depot, got one at a law firm as a paralegal, background check, background check, background check, background check, ding, 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 ding. So one day, I'm walking around Skid Row near my transitional housing. I had 90 days free at this place called the Weingart. Some guy drives up in a Bentley. It was kind of weird, but he says, hey, let me get at you for a minute. You look like you clean up pretty well. And I'm like, all right, well, where's this going? And he explained what he wanted me to do. And I said, well, look, I've done fraud crimes, and that's what I did time for. I'm really not looking to recidivate, which, you don't really ever see it as a verb, right? But, right? So, but I'm not looking to recidivate, but like, tell me about the get down. He's like, well, just, I'm going to get this money out of an escrow account. It'll be in a check in your name. You go to bank. I'm like, the check's in my name. I don't need to have fake ID, whatever. Okay, fine. So my lawyer brain wasn't active at the time. And I didn't realize that it would result years later in an extradition from out here to back there for conspiracy to commit real estate fraud. Yeah. It was pretty awful. So it took me a long time to get people to understand my bonkers life, right? Like, I know you're still asking yourself, like, did that really happen? Like, yes, I was literally incarcerated, homeless, felon, disbarred, addicted, depressed. I lived in a tent on Skid Row. That one. I don't remember why I took up this one here. I don't remember why I decided to take a picture of it, but I did, right? But when you get to the bottom and you get down there, you have a decision to make. It's a very important one, and everyone's got to make it. And I don't think everyone makes the right one. But you can stay down there, and you'll die. You will die. I'm pretty certain that I probably saw dead people down there. It just looked like they were sleeping, right? But you'll die. And no one will remember you. Your story will have been pointless, and it won't be able to help anyone. And I couldn't deal with that. So a lot of really good things happened. And I'll get to those. But I also want everyone to understand when they hear my story, because I deal with this with folks in our program all the time, second chances and people that need them can look like anyone. You don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know what they've been through. They could be somebody that just couldn't save their mom, right? They could be somebody that was jumped into a gang at 15. They could be somebody that was born addicted to anything. They could be somebody that was sexually molested by a family member or human trafficked. You don't know, right? Our social workers get that out of them a lot of the time, and it enables us to help them. But in my case, I think it's really important because you would never have known. You thought I looked like Stanley Tucci. And that's why it's important that answer wins, because that's exactly the opposite of who I am. Stanley Tucci's like an upstanding, respectable guy in a suit. I'm a incredibly broken, damaged guy who's committed crimes and done horrible things, right? But one of my participants, when I did this contest with them, I said, what do you see? Like, who would play me? It's like, I don't know, bro. Any white dude in a suit, right? I'm not white. I didn't always wear a suit, but I get it, right? That's just what they see. So with me, though, here's the dichotomies, right? And these are the things that, Princeton to prison. Well, technically I went to county jail, but Princeton to jail it doesn't really sound right. The alliteration's not there. But Princeton to prison, Harvard to homeless. Now, actually, ironically, there's another guy in this picture. His name is Joe Ditkoff. He's a judge on the Massachusetts Court of Appeal now. My best friend in law school. I went and I got to do a presentation for them. And so after this slide, I showed a picture of the two of us. And then I was like, so now you have the blackmail material on Judge Ditkoff, right? But that's just another thing, right? I mean, I lived with Ted Cruz. Ketanji Brown was my supervising editor on Law Review. Judge Joseph Ditkoff, he's the ethics judge on the Massachusetts Court of Appeal. And me, I lived on Skid Row for a while. It's crazy. But these things happen, and you just never know. But fortunately for me, when I got to the bottom, I did bounce back, and a lot of really cool things happened. I went from Iron Bars to Iron Man. You know the Iron Man story, but that's actually the title of the book and some branding I'm working on. So I don't know. Yes, no. This is AI did this a little ridiculous. That's not going to be the cover, but it's. I asked it for something big, and it's like, okay, fine. So, but also, when you're locked up, I'll get to that in a second. When you're locked up, it's interesting. You feel like you're cut off. And I don't just mean cut off, when your mom says, you're cut off, right? That's what I mean. But cut off by the country. They don't care. And sometimes you're so deep in the bowels of some jail that has no windows, or you don't know where you are geographically. I grew up in LA. I had no idea where I was. If you asked me in the jail, could you point to where you are on a map? I'd be like, I don't know. It felt like when we got put on that bus, it was in the cover of darkness and we had hoods on our heads and we ended up getting processed in. It's crazy. And when you get processed in, they make you take all your clothes off and they shine flashlights up your butt to make sure that you have no contraband in there. And they tell you to bend over and cough. All this humiliating stuff happens, right? It's very humiliating, very dehumanizing, and you feel like you're not part of the country. Almost all the people in my program feel that way. And you have to acknowledge that because those feelings are valid, because I know I felt them. And I was very lucky because I got to do something about it. I told you I qualified for Team USA. So I actually used to wear inmate orange because I was in the custody of the country and cut off from it. But in September, I literally get to represent the country. And I get to wear red, white, and blue. And not everybody gets to do that, but that's my redemption. That's what it looks like. And God. You know, this happened so long ago, and I still cry. It's like unbelievable. But anytime I get to show this to our participants, that's a really great feeling because I get to share with them, look, there are things that don't care about your record. Multisport didn't care, and it embraced me. I'm actually an ambassador for the United States Triathlon Foundation, and you have to write a little essay and everything to get that. And in my essay, what do you think I wrote about? All of this stuff. And they were cool with it. I guess probably because I was honest about it, but because it's led to this. So sometimes when I show this to people, though, they just say, man, you're just bragging now. I'm like, yeah, I am, because I used to live there, right? So I think, I don't care if you think I'm bragging. I don't care if you think it's arrogant or obnoxious. I was in a tent shooting meth, waiting to die. And here I am now. I get to talk to judges. I get to talk to municipal court administrators. I get to do TED Talks. I get to do triathlons and Ironmans and all this stuff. So yeah, I am bragging a little bit. I showed this slide to somebody I work with, and she looked at me and she goes, Damon, I just want your life sometimes. I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, tent guy, right? Like, you could do it. Like, there's nothing special about me that enabled me to do this, right? There doesn't have to be anything special about you to do anything special. In my case, and in the case of most of the people in the program, you just got to believe in yourself. That's it. That's it. Because when you believe in yourself and when you're honest about it, it invites other people in to believe in you. And when other people start to believe in you, that's fuel. I try to be that for the people in the program. Like I tell them, I'm like, there's a lot of people out there that are only going to treat you as the worst thing you've ever done. That's all that you're going to be to them. But I'm not going to be that. And our social worker's not going to be that. Our employment specialist is not going to be that. Jim McGreevy's not going to be that. We're all going to believe in you. And when you have a group of people believing in you, and all of a sudden you have a surplus of that, that's fuel for any impossible thing you want to do. Now, I was very lucky. I had a lot of people believe in me along the way, but one I want to talk about is my wife, Gigi. So Gigi saved my life. Gigi, one day, so she's asking, after we've been together about 3 months, and she didn't really know a whole lot about me, and I've just fixed my life is fixed. I haven't been extradited back to California yet.